Hey ladies, well, this video is going to be part one of a three-part video, which is basically my journey from when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter back in 2010 until I delivered and my recovery. So part one will be basically how I found out I was pregnant. Part two, I might combine part one and part two depending on how long it is. But my goal right now is part one to be how I found out I was pregnant and the steps how that happened. Part two is going to be my pregnancy and what happened during my pregnancy, and then part three is going to be my labor and delivery and recovery, all in one, because my labor and delivery wasn't that crazy to where whatever, but I figured I'd make this now so that when I have it on, for my memory, and when I get pregnant with number two, I can kind of compare one pregnancy to the other a little bit if I forget anything, because, pregnancy brain, whatever. So I want to do it for that reason. I just think it would be good to have. I didn't do this then, and I kind of regret it, but I'm going to do it now because I pretty much remember everything that happened. So yeah, so I'm just going to jump right into part one of the video. I found out I was pregnant in May of 2010. Well, no, I found out I was pregnant in June of 2010, but I got pregnant in the end of May 2010. At the time, we were not trying, but we weren't preventing it either. The reason, I thought, I didn't know, I thought that I would not be able to get pregnant because when I was around the age of, I would say around the age of 17, I was living in New York. That's originally where I'm from. I moved here and then I actually moved back with my dad. While I was living with my dad, I told my stepmom that I was getting my period every month, and and that it was really irregular. She said it would be good for me to go to the gynecologist. I said, okay, no problem, whatever. So I went, and she put me on birth control, and they did an ultrasound to find out why AF was not coming every month. And I had cysts on my ovaries. She said that it wasn't anything to be alarmed of, that it's very common, that all women have cysts on their ovaries, but it'll be a problem if they get larger than, I think she said 3 centimeters from my memory, if I can remember correctly. So that was that. And ever since then, and then she told me at that appointment, she also told me that it would be very hard for me to get pregnant, and that when the time came for me to have a baby, that it would be difficult and I would probably need some sort of, help. At that time I didn't know what that meant. I do now, obviously. So that was what she told me. Years went by, didn't really think about it. In the back of my head I knew, but I was never, at that point I wasn't trying to have a baby, so it didn't occur to me. So I just went on about my business, my life, met my fiance in July of 2009. We started dating in August. And we were together, around 9 months, 10 months, probably in about 8 or 9 months when I found out that I was pregnant. And the way that I found out was I knew something was off with my body. I just knew something was wrong because the week before I found out I was pregnant, we went to it's called Taste of Pinellas down here. It's down in St. Pete. I live in northern Florida, so it's about 4 hours from me down in St. Pete. And they have it's called Taste of Pinellas, and it's in St. Pete, and it's all, vendors and restaurants and stuff in the St. Pete area that it's all food and everything like that. And they usually always have some sort of artist. Most of the time it's country. They have a couple. It's 3 days long. So we went, I believe, the second day. We went that Saturday, I believe. And it's usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We went Saturday, and it was very hot outside at the time. It's the middle of May in Florida, so, the beginning of June, sorry, because it was the beginning of June, so it was very hot and just gross. So we went there, and Lone Star was performing. That was the performance that day, and Martina McBride later on that evening, and then fireworks. So during the day, while we were walking around seeing what vendors and things like that were there, I started getting very nauseous. I didn't feel good. I was dizzy. I was light, like I was just lightheaded. Like something was off. Thought maybe I was getting sick or I was gonna be dehydrated. Started drinking a lot of water. I started feeling a little bit better, and I couldn't stand up for long. We were waiting for the concert to start. Like it was packed, like where we were standing. So I ended up sitting down, like the dumpster was right there, but I was so nauseous that I ended up going on the other side. They let me sit on the other side of the dumpster, because where we were, like the lighting and stuff, like the booth or whatever was right next to us. They let me actually go sit on the other side because the medic was right there, and my fiance asked like what was wrong, whatever. So that was that. And we went home later that night, and I said to my fiance, like, something's not right. I'm definitely getting sick, whatever. So a couple days went by. I started feeling a little bit better, and then we moved into our own apartment that same week. So I was very tired. I was napping, that's something I don't do. Sorry I say a lot. It's very hard not to. So I apologize if that bothers you. I'll try to work on that. But something just didn't feel right. So my fiance went to work one day, and I was home. I wasn't working at the time, and something just didn't feel right. I said to myself, you know what? I have a pregnancy test from months back, probably around October of 2009, and this was June of 2010. They weren't expired, so I knew that. I just knew that they were a couple of months old. So I took the one. I only had one left. So I took one and I let it sit on the counter, and I went and I heated up dinner for myself because it was kind of late. It was around like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Went and made dinner for myself. Heated it up, and I walked back in the bathroom, and it said pregnant. I freaked out. I was like, there's no way this is happening. I can't get pregnant. I was so convinced that it was wrong that I kept saying to myself, the light on the not, it was a digital, so the not pregnant, I was like, the not light is not working, and that's why it says pregnant. I started freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I ended up calling my mother, who was down visiting my grandma down near Fort Lauderdale, and I told her, Mom, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. I took a pregnancy test, came up pregnant. Oh, you're not pregnant. It's a false positive. Don't worry. Okay, Mom. No, I'm telling you, it came up pregnant. So she's like, at first she didn't believe me, and then she said this false positive stuff. Sorry if the lie. So I was like, I'll send you the picture, and she's like, so when I sent her the picture, she's like, it's a false positive. You're not pregnant. I said, okay, Mom, and I just let it go. And I kind of wanted her to be like, what? Seriously? Like, not like, oh, it's a false positive. Don't worry. Like, completely whatever. So that was that. And then I called, my best friend works at a restaurant, so I called her and I told her, and she's like, you're lying. You're lying. I'm like, no. I'm like, check your cell phone. And I sent her the picture, and she freaked out. She's like, oh my God. She's like, I'm going to cry. I'm so excited. I was like, we don't even know for sure yet. We thought that I couldn't get pregnant. So I waited an hour or two, and I was like, I need to know, if I'm pregnant or not. I'm like, my fiance needs to leave work. Like, he just needs to leave. So he texted me on his break, and I'm like, you need to leave work. Tell him that you need to leave early. Something happened. You need to leave. So I went. We only had one car. So I went and picked him up, and he got in the car, and he's like, what's the matter? And I was like, look. And I gave him the pregnancy test, and he's like, what? And I was like, yeah. So whatever. So we went immediately to CVS and picked up another box of the digital ones. And I said, I'll take one again, since this is a new box, take one again. And then if that one's positive, I'll take the second one that was in the box in the morning. So we came home, I waited a little while, and then I took the test, and I was like, I'm not looking at it, you go look at it. And he went in and looked at it, and he's like, babe, you're pregnant. And I was like, no, there's no way, it's not possible. I was in denial, like, straight up, I was in so much denial that I was pregnant. And I just started crying, because I'm like, didn't know what to do. I was like, we just moved here into this apartment, I'm not working, you're working part-time, I started freaking out. I was like, I don't believe in abortion. I was like, I don't think I would be able to give my baby up for adoption. And I started freaking out, wondering, what was going to happen. And he was like, don't worry, we're strong, we can do this. I started to feel better. The next morning I took the test again, came up pregnant. I'm like, okay, well, let's call the health department, because I didn't have insurance. So, health insurance. I'm like, let's call the health department and see, whatever. I went to health department and she asked me when the last time AF came. So I told her, and she's like, oh my God, you're like 4 months pregnant, because I didn't get February of 2010 was my last period, and I got pregnant in May of 2010. So they thought that I was 4 months pregnant, and I was like, there's no way, that's not even possible right now. So they immediately got my insurance set up, whatever. I ended up getting on Medicaid. There's no shame in that, ladies. So if you want to judge. If you don't, whatever. I don't really care. And I immediately got an appointment with the regular doctor, because they thought that I was, about 4 months pregnant. So I went to the regular OBGYN after that, and he did an ultrasound. He's like, no, you're only 3.5, 4 weeks. And I was like, okay. That's what I thought. Like, I couldn't imagine being 4 months pregnant and just not knowing, like, especially knowing when I tested how off I felt. So that's how I found out I was pregnant. It was a shock. I took about 4 or 5 more tests even after the ultrasound to confirm it, because I just couldn't believe it. Everyone was excited, and, we started our journey. So this video is almost 15 minutes long, and I think it's almost as long as I can upload, I think. I think I can upload more than 15 minutes, but I think this is a little bit too long. But yeah, that is how I found out that I was pregnant. I ovulated somehow without getting my period, so anything is possible, ladies. So don't give up yet. I know I haven't, especially since I got pregnant without trying the first time. So I know it can be difficult, but that is part 1 of my pregnancy, conceiving my daughter, and then part 2, which will be after this video, will be my pregnancy, my 40, well, I didn't go 40 weeks, but my pregnancy journey, from when I found out I was pregnant to up until I had her. So I just wanted to let you know about that. If you have any other ideas for videos, please let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not, and I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye.